I'm back, Math 1. Here is just a continuation of the notes from section 1.5. All right, number 2, it says, find the difference between the perimeter of a rectangle measuring 3 feet long and 4 feet wide and the circumference of a circle with a 6 foot long diameter. All right, so first of all, to unpack this, let's just figure out what the perimeter of a rectangle is. Its formula, if you don't have it memorized yet. And then we'll talk about what the circumference of a circle might be. So, scroll up. Found them. P equals 2L plus 2W. And the circumference is C equals 2 pi r. So remember, this difference just means subtract the difference between two numbers. What's the difference between 5 and 9? 4. There's a difference of 4 between them. So all we're doing is we're figuring this out. What's the circumference? What's the perimeter? And then we subtract the two values. So 3 feet long by 4 feet wide, that's a pretty straightforward calculation. P equals 2 times 3 for L plus 2 times 4 for W. And you get 6 plus 8, which equals 14. For circumference, it says it's a 6 foot long diameter. Now, the diameter is equal to double the radius. So here's a circle. Here's the radius. The diameter spans the entire section of that space. It must go through the center of the circle, touch one end to the other. So when you see that the diameter is 2r, you just got to say, if 6 equals the diameter, then 3 is actually the radius. You just cut it in half. So the circumference is just going to be 2 times, well, I'm going to take out pi and put 3.14. And then multiply that by 3. Now it makes a heck of a lot more sense if I can, using the commutative property, to flip the 3 and the 3.14 to say 2 times 3 is 6. And I can do that because the commutative property backs it up. So now all I got to do is take one decimal value times a whole number, and I'll be done with that calculation. So 3.14 times 6 is 24, 8, 18. Move the decimal spot 2 in, you get 18.84. Alrighty, and then our finale. We're subtracting 18.84 and 14. Much like on that previous example, in order to add or subtract decimals, you must line up the decimal. Line up the decimal. So if I didn't line up the decimal, I'd be saying that 18.84 minus 14 was like 18.7, which doesn't make any sense at all. That'd be 4. Got it. So the difference between this circle, the circumference of the circle and the perimeter of a rectangle is 4.84 feet. And it's not feet squared. Remember, you measure one-dimensionally for distance. You travel 5 miles. You run a 5-mile race. You don't run 5 square miles. We'll talk more about that in class 2. Okay, we got a couple volume questions. Just to save on time, I'm not going to scroll all the way back up. You can reference the note sheet that you get in class. But a cylinder is given a volume of pi times the radius squared, kind of like a circle, but then you multiply by its height. It's got a radius that's 10 feet long and a height that's 40 feet high. So V is equal to 3.14 times the radius squared times its height of 40. So the order of operations, you don't multiply first here, you square the 10. You take 10 times 10. Which, that's just 100. Oh, and I'm seeing something here. If you multiply anything times a power of 10, like 100, it moves the decimal place over. So when you say 3.14 times 100, it's basically saying move it once and twice. It's just 314. And I think you'll see that by saying 0 times everything is 0, 0, 0. Drop a 0. 0 times everything is 0, 0, 0. Drop 2 zeros. 1 times everything is 4, 1, 3. See that? 2 out, 2 in. You can just make that connection right away. It's 314. So 314 times 40 is our volume. And then I'm going to go off to the side, do some more scratch work. But again, this scratch work right here was unnecessary. I want you to use that fact that multiplying by a power of 10 moves the decimal place. All right, so 314 times 40. All right, so the 0, what you can do is just say nothing comes from that 0, so I'm dropping it, and then doing 4 times 4, and moving everything else that way. Okay, so there's our volume. Our volume is 12,560, and volume ends up being three dimensionals. It is three-dimensional. So it's feet by feet by feet, or feet to the third power, feet cubed. Let's talk about a box with dimensions 9.2, 7.5, and 8.3. If you look at a volume of a box, which is pretty much the technical, or it's an informal term for a rectangular prism, okay? On the formula sheet, you'll see that that's length times width times height. All you're doing is plugging in 9.2, 7.5, and 8.3 into those spots and multiplying. So if I just wanted to come over here really quick and do that calculation off to the side, I got 9.2 times 7.5 times 8.3. I'm just going to start with these first two. I know decimals multiplication, not the greatest combination, but we will endure it anyway. 5 times 2 is 10, carry a 1, 5 times 9 is 45, plus the 1, 46. If I'm going too fast, just slow down the YouTube video and rewind. 0, 14, carry a 1, 63, 64. And this is 10, 8, 69. 2 decimals out, 2 decimals in. All right, so it's 69 for the first two multiplied together, times 8.3. And then I just do the multiplication again. I'll continue multiplying on this side. So 69 times 8.3 is going to be 27. 18, 20. Drop a 0. 72. Carry a 7. 48 plus 7 is 55. 7, 2, 7, 5. And there was one digit of decimal, so it's going to move 1 in there. You have 572.7. Once again, feet cubed. All right, last two examples. We're going to talk about surface area. Hopefully I'll get these in before the 15-minute mark. Surface area tends to just be a lot more, I don't know, just more work tends to go into surface area. It's not as clean as volume. But the surface area for a cylinder is going to equal 2 pi r squared. It's because there's two circles on the top and bottom of a cylinder. And then plus 2 pi RH. That's the area of the curved region around the cylinder. They're telling us it's got a height of 100 meters and a diameter of 10, which is really just code for saying your radius is equal to 5, right? So if we put the 3.14 in there, our radius is 5 times 5, plus 2 times the 3.14 again, plug in that 5 for the R, 3.14, 5, and then the height is 100. I got to do the exponent first, which is 25. Over here. Oh, I'm noticing something. I'm noticing something here. 100 can be flipped with the 5. Actually, here's what we can do. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay? So this is 3.14 times 10 times 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000. Much like 25 times 2 is 50. So I've got 1,000 times 3.14 and 50 times 3.14. Much like 100, I can just start moving decimal places. So 3.4 times 1,000 is 1, 2, 3 powers of 10, which gives me 3,140 for this right here, 3,140. For 3.14 times 50, I can just drop that 0 right away and start multiplying. 5 times 4 is 20, 7, and 15. 2 digits out, 2 digits in, 157. So we're talking 157 plus 3,140. You can just stack those two. And there's your final answer. 3,297. And the what would we say the units are on this? Well, it's surface area, surface square area, surface squared area, squared units. So it's still going to be meters squared on this one. All right, and quickly, the last example. How would you determine the surface area of a prism, a rectangular prism, kind of like that box example? So it's interesting. A box kind of has this sort of a rectangular prism. It's you basically double the length times width. So it's kind of like the two sides have areas that are rectangles. But then you double the top and the bottom, which is 2, well, not 2WH. That would be the top and the bottom. 2WH and then 2LH. That's the formula for the surface area of a rectangular prism. They give us length of 8 millimeters. They give us a width of 14 millimeters. And they give us a height of 9. So at this point, we can talk a lot about the geometry of this, but I'm really kind of using this example for the algebra purposes of it. So 2 times 8 is 16. I'm going to do 2 times 9 on this one, which is 18. And then, I don't know, 2 times 8 again. So 16 times 14 ends up being 4, carry the 2, 60, 0, 6, 1. 224. 18 times 14 should be just 28 more. 2, 3, 7, 0, 8. Sorry, I'm going very quick because I'm running out of time on the video. 252. And then 16 times 9, that ends up being 144. Add the trio together, all three of them, really you can do it quickly. You can say 200 plus 200 plus 100 is 500. You know what? We can just stack them. 224 plus 252 plus 144 ends up being 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 6. It's 620 square millimeters. Thanks for watching.